I want to talk about something that actually scared me a little bit because I was doing everything right, but I still felt absolutely nothing. And if you've ever been in that place, you know how dangerous it can actually feel and how dangerous it can be. I've dealt with addiction and depression and borderline personality disorder for a long time. And for many years of my life, I've been on a medication called Naltrexone. And to be clear, this medication helps a lot of people. It reduces cravings and can be really effective in recovery. But I've also been on it before I entered recovery. And what this medication does is it blocks the dopamine receptors in your brain, so you don't get the same hit of endorphins and dopamine from substances of choice, alcohol, opiates, nicotine, whatever. But it also can lower your responses and giving you joy in day-to-day life activities. And so I was off of this medication for a few months, and I finally understood what it felt like to feel good. I was doing so well, I was happy, I was working out and everything, and then I went back on this medication and I didn't feel stable anymore. I felt really flat. Not just sad, not just anxious, just neutral in a way that didn't feel right. So yesterday I got up at 7 a.m. I did a hot yoga class. I went home and I took a cold shower. I ate a healthy breakfast. I did group therapy. I was getting my steps in, and I still didn't feel any sort of joy or relief. I didn't feel good when I should feel good. I still just felt totally empty. Like I could go through a full day of things that should feel good and I just couldn't feel good anymore. And I learned there's actually a word for that. It's called anhedonia, and it's when you lose the ability to actually feel pleasure from things that would normally feel good to you. And when that happens, it starts to mess with your head because you literally question everything about your entire life. So here's what you need to know. Your brain has a reward system that's tied with the chemical dopamine, and it's what reinforces behavior that tells your brain, do this again, this feels good. And then, like I said before, medications like Naltrexone work by blocking these receptors which were connected to the reward system, which helps reduce cravings to substances or eating and whatnot. But it can also, for some people, like it was for me, making life in general just feel less rewarding. And it was a huge wake-up call for me because I had been on this medication for so long and I didn't realize the effect that it was actually giving me. So just, if you've never been in a situation like this, imagine doing all the right things, working out, eating well, going to therapy, but your brain isn't giving you the this feels good signal. Eventually that really starts to wear on you. I was feeling like that for just a couple of weeks and it felt absolutely miserable, especially because I had finally known what it felt like to do good and to feel good and to be good. And I kept doing all the right things and nothing was even getting better. I hope it goes without saying, I am stopping this medication, and even just a day, I feel a lot better. And I was like sick today. It's about 8 p.m. and I did my makeup like an hour. I just did my makeup. I was sick and I slept like all day, so I didn't film this video when I wanted to film it. And I was like, you know what? It might be 8 p.m, it might be 7 p.m, but I'm gonna do my makeup and I'm gonna film this video and I'm gonna get it done. I haven't really been filming long form videos. I've been filming short form videos, and it just, like, I know this feels good and I know I enjoy it, but I just couldn't enjoy it. So I'm starting to enjoy it again. So when your brain stops rewarding healthy behavior, it will start looking for something that does give it some sense of reward. And it's not like any sort of flaw. That is literally just how the brain works. I want my PhD in neuroscience, and that's why I just went back to school to get my associates. And I had a moment where I understood why people relapse. Not because they don't care, but because they just want to feel human again. So as of today, I am actually 500 days sober from alcohol. But yesterday, I ended up smoking weed for the first time in about 2.5 months because I just wanted to feel good. So I smoked and I finally cleaned my apartment and I got things done that I had been avoiding. Otherwise, I would have just felt like rotting and doing nothing. And that choice I made in the moment, it gave me temporary relief. But that's not the whole point of this video. But what I'm learning from that temporary relief is it was temporary. It didn't fix the situation. It revealed that my brain can feel good, which means the issue isn't that I'm incapable of happiness. The issue was just like the baseline chemistry of what was going on in my environment, my treatment. It just needed to be looked at a little bit more closely. And I realized that I want to be able to feel good without using a substance. I am not against people who drink or smoke weed. I do in the future. I'm sure I'm going to smoke weed again at some point, but I don't want to be in a situation where I feel like I need to smoke weed or get high in order to feel okay. Especially because I feel really good doing things like working out and cooking for myself and doing therapy and cleaning my apartment just on my own. Those things I know can make me feel good. I don't need a substance to feel those things. But yesterday, since I was back on Naltrexone for a couple of months now, it was getting to the point where I couldn't anymore. And I am so grateful to be in a place to realize and recognize that, and to be able to actually do something about it and share my experience in case anyone is feeling the same way, because multiple medications and other things can have that same effect, not just this one medication. And so I feel like a lot of people get stuck in this situation. If your brain isn't rewarding you for doing the right things, it's going to look for something to reward itself. And it's really easy to associate rewards with quick fixes, quick little dopamine spikes, or like eating something that tastes good, or scrolling online, or anything like that. But over time, those quick fixes can actually lower your natural reward sensitivity even more. So normal day-to-day life seems flat, and the thing that gives you relief starts to feel more like a necessity instead of a choice or an option. And that's how addictive cycles start, not from weakness, but from misaligned reinforcement. So where I'm at now isn't that I figured it all out, because I didn't figure it all out. It's more like I'm paying attention in a way that I never have been before, and that's what I'm challenging everyone who's watching this to also do. I'm looking at how my brain responds to medication, to habits, to everything. And I'm going to work through it with intention, not by reacting in the moment, but by actually understanding what is going on beneath the feeling that I'm feeling. So if you're watching this and you're in a place where you're doing everything right and still feel nothing, you're not broken. You might honestly be dealing with something a lot deeper than yourself, a lot deeper than discipline and devotion. You might be dealing with how your brain is processing your reward systems. That's something that you can figure out, but it starts by just being honest. And so the final line here is that I don't want to just feel good for a moment. I want to build a life where feeling good actually lasts. And it's something that's possible. So then the question we have to ask ourselves is, how do we build a life where feeling good actually lasts? Not a temporary high, not a quick fix, but something that's stable and sustainable and reliable. And to do that, you have to fix the baseline. The first thing I'm learning is, so if your brain isn't responding to healthy habits, it doesn't mean the habits are wrong. It means that something underneath needs adjusting. And that could be your environment, your stress levels, your sleep, your nutrition, or even possibly your medication. And that's something that you have to work through intentionally, not impulsively. And if you're doing stuff like drinking or doing drugs or eating unhealthy, scrolling on Instagram all the time, it is lowering your reward system baseline, and you need to do more intentional work sitting in silence and doing the things that nurture you. Scrolling on Instagram isn't nurturing. Getting drunk isn't nurturing. Eating junk food and an entire bag of Doritos in a night, which I've done, is not nurturing. Jeanette, don't do that, okay? The other thing that I'm learning is that the difference between relief and healing. Relief feels immediate, it's fast, it's noticeable, and it pulls you in. Healing is something slower and sometimes feels invisible at first because you can't see the growth. Like when you have a cut and you put a band-aid on it, you can't see that it's getting better, but it's getting better. And you just have to trust the process. But one of those things builds stability and the other builds dependency. Healing builds stability. Quick fixes build dependency if you're not careful. And that's something that I really had to work on being honest with myself about. Next is rebuilding your brain's reward system. If your brain has gotten used to quick spikes, whether it's substances, scrolling, anything, blah, 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 you have to retrain it to respond to real life again and to find the joy in being offline and to just live your life. And it does take time. It looks like consistency without immediate payoff. It looks like doing things that don't feel good until they do feel good. And honestly, this next part might be the most important part. You have to get curious about yourself instead of judgmental with yourself. Because the moment you say, "What's wrong with me?" you shut down the ability to actually figure it out. But when you ask yourself, "What is happening in my brain right now?" that's where you get to start to actually figure it out. And things start to shift. So for me, building a life where feeling good lasts isn't about finding one perfect answer, because there's no such thing as one perfect answer. It's about understanding how my brain works and making decisions that support it in the long term. I'm still figuring this out, but I'm not running from it anymore. I'm learning how my brain works and how to support it and what doesn't, and I'm building it from there. Because I don't want temporary relief anymore. I want a life that actually feels good to live. And I'm gonna keep figuring that out. And I would love for you who's watching to figure it out with me so we can do it together. My next video I'm gonna be filming is my 500 days sober video, so subscribe if you want to see that video. Comment down below any questions that you have, any other videos you want me to see. If you've made it this far in the video, like this video. My goal for this year is to become monetized on YouTube, and I can't do it without you. And if you ever felt like you're doing everything right but still feel off, leave a comment with your experience. I'm really interested in knowing what you're going through and what you're learning. And I'm gonna keep documenting what actually helps me feel better long term, and I would really appreciate, like I said, you following it in real time, and so we can grow together. And like I said, I am really interested in knowing what you're going through as well, so I can better help you, better help me, better help us. And with that being said, I'll see you guys soon.